Welcome to the first Backseat Driver Show. My name is Neil Mathweg. Thank you so much for taking the time to stop by. I am just so excited for today. I have been looking forward to putting this first show together, and here we are. So I'm excited. I'm also a little scared, a little afraid of what we're doing. You know, I mean, you like our glorious studio that we have here, our mobile studio. I mean, how many people can say they have a mobile studio? This guy can. All right. So, anyways, today is a show where I am going to. I'm a little afraid, to tell you the truth. I've got to humble myself here, and I've got to be transparent in order for this to come off right. I'm afraid that I might look like a fool, and so I was really hesitant to put this show together. But after talking with some good friends and family and my staff, we just feel like this is the right thing to do. It's the right way to start this show. It's okay if I look like a fool, is what I've learned, and it's okay if I look funny. That's who I am, as long as this show helps people, and that's my goal. My dignity is not the most important thing here. It's important that I help people. And so once I realized that, I said, let's do it. It's time. It's time for me to share this stuff. A lot of this I've shared in small groups or with privately, individually, but I've never publicly put a video out or done a show like this. So it's a big step for me, but I'm excited. My goal today, when you finish watching this show, is that you'll have a clear vision of why I'm doing this show. And here's what we're gonna cover in today's show. The financial roller coaster ride my family went on during the recession, and we had some crazy faith testing times when we took on $264,000 of debt, and how we avoided filing bankruptcy and are fighting back and paying this debt back. How I dealt with the anxiety that I took on during this time, and unfortunately I leaned on drugs and alcohol in order to get through it. Then God pulled me out of the grips of the drug and alcohol addiction. How my marriage was tested, and how we pulled through it and came out even stronger throughout the entire process. And lastly, I want to touch on my latest challenge, which is my weight loss journey. So let's get started. Let's start with my financial roller coaster. This is a story, like I said, I've shared with quite a few people, but I've never put it out there in a video like this. So this is a little difficult for me to talk about, but I do want to share it with you so that you know exactly what my wife and I went through. And then in later shows, I'm going to share how we've worked our way out and the things that we've learned along the way. So starting back in 2002 is when I started as a realtor, and I started off and I started making more money than I ever imagined I would make. And the problem with this is the star status that came with making this much money went straight to my head, and I started buying things and living way outside of my means because the income was there. And most people will ask how much something is. That's the right thing to do. What I was doing is I was asking how much down and how much a month. And I was doing that over and over and over. And so I was buying cars. I bought a boat. I bought a house way bigger than we ever needed it for our family. I bought a vacation home up north, a cabin up north. And I just kept spending and kept asking how much down and how much a month. And I never had cash. I was always just living paycheck to paycheck, but I just watched my monthly expenses go up as long as my monthly income kept going up. And that's what happened for many years. I took this same ego, this same problem that I had with spending money, I took that into investing in real estate, and started asking the same questions, how much down and how much a month, when I was buying rental properties. Anyways, in 2005, I bought $2 million worth of real estate. And what I did with that is I did the same exact things that I was doing with buying too much in my personal life, or lavish things that we were buying. I took that same concept into investing in real estate, and I started doing what's called seller seconds. And what a seller second is I would get 90% from the bank and 10% from a seller. Then I would wait for the value to go up in 2 years, and then I would refinance and pay the seller their 10%. Get the money from the bank and then, pay the seller their 10%. The problem is that in 2007, the market began to crash right when I needed it to go up. I couldn't refinance to pay the sellers, and I lost a big chunk of my monthly income. I started falling behind on my monthly obligations, and I was asking how much down and how much a month over and over. I kept borrowing more money so that I could afford to pay the bills and kind of keep things going right as the same time as the market was crashing. My income was going down, my expenses were staying the same, and I wasn't changing. I was oblivious to what was going on. So this all led to a day that I'll never forget, and it was the turning point that my wife and I went through, that realized that we were broke. And how it went down was, the bank would allow me to run a negative account in my checking account as long as the income kept coming, and so that I could pay down the debt once the income was there. So they would allow me to go into the negative, and I had gone all the way down to negative $20,000. I had $8,000 of bills sitting on my desk, and I had about $3,000 coming in that next week or 2 weeks. So I thought, no problem. I'm going to go to the bank. They know I'm good for it. I'm going to see if I can get a loan for that $8,000 of bills, add it on to the $20,000 that I already owe them, and everything will be fine. Well, I went into the bank, and they said, no, Neil, we can't give you the $8,000, and really we can't give you any more money at all, other than we're willing to give you $200 a week so that you can feed your family. I had no credit cards. I chopped all of those up already. I had no other way of getting any income. I had to live off of, my wife and I, had to live off of that $200 a week. At the time, that was devastating, because that $200 a week, there was like no way. I thought there's no way we could live off of that. I got to buy gas and groceries, and I'm a realtor. I drive all over the place. There's just no way. So I was absolutely devastated. I had to go home and share this negative news with my wife, or this scary news that the bank had literally cut us off. And it was very scary, because it was like the first time that I realized that I wasn't able to support my family anymore. It was the time where I realized that my ego got in the way, and I wasn't going to be able to provide for my family other than the $200 a week. The bank said that they would continue to work with us as long as we sold our house, which was a house that my wife and I, a dream house that we built. We had to sell the house. We had to move into an apartment or do something so that we could lower our living expenses. They wanted me to get rid of let go of my staff, my assistant that had given me 6 hard years of work. I had to go in and tell them that the paycheck that I just wrote them wasn't going to clear, and that I could no longer employ them. And that was so hard. It was the hardest thing that I had to go through during this whole thing, was to let Casey go. I had to stop advertising. They didn't want me to do any more advertising. Back then we were doing print advertising, all different kinds of print advertising. I no longer could do any of the print advertising. I had to sell my cars. I had to sell one of the 2 cars. I had to sell my boat, my vacation cabin, most of the rental properties, whatever I could, had to get rid of those. And basically they told me to sell so much stuff that the kids fear that they're next. And that's the reality behind it. That's how broke we were in order to do this. So my wife and I, when we were faced with this, we decided that we weren't going to file bankruptcy. We decided that we were going to pay this debt back. $264,000 is what all stacked up when everything was sold, and that's what was left owing the bank. My parents stepped in and helped us tremendously and co-signed some notes for us so that we could convince the bank that we weren't going to file bankruptcy. And we went on a mission to pay this $264,000 back. We've got about $130,000 to go, and it's a long process. We're paying interest on all of that money as well, so it's not easy to chop it down because you got interest stacking up as well. But we're getting there. We've got about $130,000 to go, and in future shows, I plan on talking about this a lot. My wife and I have learned so much during this downturn that I am just filled with wisdom, and I can't wait to share it with you. Some good tips that will help you get be more financially sound. So I'm excited to share all of that with you. During this time, my wife and I were there was a lot of anxiety and a lot of worry. And coming up after the break here, I want to share. I was faced with a drug and alcohol addiction, trying to fight the anxiety that I took on during the downturn. And after the break, we're going to take a commercial break. And after the break, I'm going to dive into my experiences with this and share this story with you. So we're going to take a quick commercial, and we'll be right back after these messages. All right. How's my makeup? Pretty good. All right, cool. What's that? Oh, we don't have commercial breaks? Oh, I thought we did. Oh, okay. All right, well, that's no big deal. We'll come back to it. Okay. Can somebody fill up my coffee, too? I think I need a little bit more coffee back here. Just touch it up. Just touch it up. That's all I need. Okay. All right. Okay, we're back. Thank you so much. Back to the backseat driver. Just kidding, guys. We don't have commercial breaks. Who am I kidding? I was just being a goofball anyways. So, yeah, maybe someday we'll have commercial breaks. That'd be pretty cool if the show ever, has a commercial in it. Anyways, so let's get serious again. Like I said, during the downturn, my wife, I faced it. My wife was there with me on the journey, but I went through a period where I had so much anxiety because I was worried about providing for my family. I was worried about making sure that I paid back the debts that I agreed to pay back. I was just fighting like mad to stay afloat. And those who know me, I've always kind of been a party animal. Frank the Tank, kind of guy at the party, just had a blast. And occasionally I would smoke pot. I wouldn't say I smoked it all the time. I just think more at parties, and just every once in a while I would. But as that anxiety set in and the depression set in, the one way that I could cope with it was by getting high, by smoking pot. And so I would, I started out where it was just like, I smoke and it was great. All right, no worries. Everything's cool. Life's good, And then I started smoking it more. Every time that I had a chance, I would smoke it. Every time that I would have a break in the day, I would smoke it. And then it got really bad, and I started depending on it in everything that I did. I would wake up early in the morning, and I would get high. I would come home for lunch, and I would get high. I would not schedule evening appointments so that I could be stoned the rest of the night. It was just my way of coping with the anxiety. I would have anxiety, I would smoke, the anxiety would go away. I would come off my high, and I would get more anxiety, and and smoking gave me anxiety as well, because you're always worried about covering it up. You're always worried about making sure you have enough. And so it was just this vicious revolving door of being high and fighting the anxiety. So I tell you all of this because it leads up to the day that I won't forget. It's the day that I felt God cut the chains from my addiction. And what had happened is the night before, I went out and I partied, and I fell asleep on the couch. And my 3-year-old daughter, Natalie, she was 3 at the time, came downstairs and said, "Dad, what are you doing on the couch?" And I said, "Geez, honey, I don't know. I don't know why I'm here." And the truth was that I was too drunk from the night before and passed out on the couch. I still had my bag of pot sitting underneath the couch. I quickly grabbed that and shoved that in my pocket so she wouldn't see it. And it was in that moment that I realized, what am I doing? Man, I've got this beautiful family. I'm fighting like crazy to stay afloat, and I'm spending all this money on pot. What am I doing? And it was just right then and there. I literally felt like God say, Neil, you're done. Go throw it away. You're done. And I felt like the chains were clipped. I really did. I went upstairs. I grabbed the box that I kept everything in. I took that along with the bag. I still had some weed, my pipes, everything. And I went out to the dumpster or out to the garbage can and threw it all away. And I walked in the house and I told Jenny that I was, that I've been struggling with an addiction. She had no idea. She knew that I smoked every once in a while, but she didn't know that it had a hold of me. She had no idea how much money I was spending. So I came clean and I told her everything. And I thought, I thought I was in deep trouble by telling her, but she said something that I'll never forget. She looked at me and she said, Neil, you're a good man, and I'm going to help you get through this. I'm going to walk with you. And I know you're hurting right now, and I'm proud of you for coming clean. And you're a good man. So I'll never forget her saying that. It was hard. It really was. It was a moment that not only did I have to face letting go of an addiction that had a hold of me, but I also had to face my wife and tell her the truth. And then I also decided that if I was going to quit smoking pot, that I also had to decide that I was going to quit drinking, and I was going to quit smoking cigarettes. I mainly smoked cigarettes just to cover up the pot smell, but I was still addicted to cigarettes as well. So I had to quit it all, because I figured if I did one, then it would just eventually lead to me going back to my old ways. I've been sober for 6 years now. There isn't a day that goes by that I don't think about it. Some days are harder than others, but I believe that every day I'm going to be living with this addiction, and I'm getting stronger. Every year I get stronger. I remember shortly after quitting, I had to go to a wedding, and I was sober at the wedding. I would think I was the only sober one there. And then a few months later, I had to go to a bachelor party for a Brewer baseball game, and I made it through it. By God's grace, I made it through it. And I'm sober now, and I'm living a life that I never imagined I would live. It's great. It's great. So this also led to, because I was clean and sober, I started eating more, because I was covering up my addictions, or what I was getting from being high. I just went to, since I can't party, I might as well eat, and I would eat whatever I wanted. Well, then I became pretty obese, almost 350 pounds. I weighed in at 343 pounds the day that I went on my diet. And how this all transpired was I was praying with a Bible study group that I meet with every Friday morning at my office, and we were on a topic that we were talking about 3 idols that we suffer from that could leads us away from God, and it is idols that will keep us from living the life that God intended. And those 3 idols are comfort, control, and significance. And I thought that for me it was clearly comfort, because I was comforting myself. I was no longer doing drugs and drinking and whatnot, so I was eating, and I was stuffing down my feelings by eating. And one of my good brothers in the group, he said to me, he said, "You know what, Neil?" He goes, "I don't think that it's comfort for you. I think it's control. You want to control everything. You don't want to give the control to a trainer." I was on these other diets, trying other things. I was even vegan for a while, but I wouldn't give anybody the control to tell me what I can and can't eat. I was just kind of still doing everything on my own. There was a trainer in our group that was willing to help me train, a physical trainer, and I wouldn't sign up for that. I wouldn't give up the control. And I thought, man, he is right. This is it. It's not comfort, it's control. And significance, I also struggle from significance. I think, I always wanted to feel like I was, I could order whatever I wanted. And so I realized that he's right, man. It is control. And in that same week, my good friend Jason and my assistant told me that he knows of a diet. His wife was on it, and she lost 100 pounds, and he thinks it would just be perfect for me. And that it didn't require me to work out, which I hate working out, and it was just going to focus on my food, on my food intake, and my diet for eating. And the thing is that I'd have to give up control. I'd have to let somebody else tell me what I can and can't do. And so I thought about it, and a day later, I wrote a blog called Enough is Enough that I posted my story, my struggles with my weight, and why I feel like I need to go on a diet, and why I need to let go of the control and lose this weight. And I wrote this blog, and to this day, I'm just blown away at the response of how many people reached out to me and said, "Way to go, Neil. We're supporting you. We're encouraging you." It just blew me away. And then a couple people said, "Neil, you should start a Facebook page so that you can hold yourself accountable and we can follow along." And so I thought, I'm going to start this Facebook page because this is really going to make it public. I'm going to really put it out there, and so that everybody will hold me accountable. Well, little did I know that it really wasn't. It's not too much about me. It's about what it's doing for other people and how it's empowering other people to go on the same journey that I'm going on. So it's really been something. Next week, I'm going to dive into my weight loss journey and really talk in detail about how the diet works, the things that I'm doing, and just know that I'm not selling anything. I don't work for Ideal Protein. I don't get paid by them or anything like that. It's just a diet that's working for me, and I don't have to exercise. And I know that there's a lot of people that want to lose weight without exercising, and for me, I hate exercising. That was part of the reason why I could never lose weight, was because I would fall off the wagon so fast. So I'm going to talk about that in detail next week, and just kind of really tell you what this diet is all about, and really dive more into the comfort, control, and significance, and those idols. So make sure you're tuning in again next week as I am going to fill in those details. Before we leave, I would like to share a verse with you, and I think that this verse really spoke to me, and it really gave me the courage to open up today. And it was shared with me by let's call him my executive producer. He's Keith Gilmore, and he works on my team here, and he's my writer and my copywriter, and helps me with a lot of my online marketing and writing my shows, and is this a huge part of our team here. And yesterday I asked Keith if he would do me a favor and pray for me today, that I would be transparent in this show, because a lot of this you could sugarcoat and make it sound all right. I really wanted to be transparent. And so he put this verse at the top of the page so that it would be the first thing I would read today when I opened up the script to get ready for this show. And it's 2 Corinthians, it's chapter 1, verses 3 through 4. And it reads, "All praise to the God and Father, our Master, Jesus the Messiah, Father of all mercy, God of the healing counsel. He comes alongside us when we go through hard times. And before you know it, he brings us along someone else who is going through hard times, so that we can be there for that person just as God was for us." And first, thank you, Keith. That I got goosebumps right now, because that's the reason I'm doing this show, man. I really want to help people. The show was hard for me to record. It's hard for me to open up, but I really hope and pray that this recording will help at least one person walk from either addictions, walk from their weight loss struggles, walk from their financial struggles, whatever else it is that my story can do. If it encourages you in any way, please put a comment down below. Feel free to send me a message, whatever it may be. I just want to be in touch with people. I want to hear your hearts too. So thank you so much for tuning in. And remember that I'm just the backseat driver. I don't have all of the answers. I'm learning like you are. I just want to share my story so that it'll help others. Thanks again for tuning in, and I hope that you have a great day, and we'll see everybody real soon.